Welcome. Yeah, my name is Darlene, and I'm here to guide you through our Gameboard project today. So, I don't know if you all got the email with the template to print out a Gameboard. If not, that's fine. I'm going to take you through step by step to draw your own Gameboard. Now, I don't know what size paper everyone has. If you have a large piece of paper like mine, it'll make it a lot easier. But if you have a smaller piece of paper, I can adapt it to that. My paper is 12 by 18, which is basically like 2 sheets of paper, I think, or maybe a little bit larger than 2 sheets of paper. So you could do yours in half if you want to. Do half a section and then tape it together. I'm going to go through the steps as though you had a large piece of paper. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to tear out another sheet out of this big book that I have here. And I have colored paper. You don't have to have colored paper. In fact, this one that I did it on a piece of construction paper, but it's actually a really good quality construction paper that I purchased from the Educator in Metairie. I can't remember the name of the street, but it's next to where Toys R Us is. It's that street that goes along.
Division.
That's it. And it's a really good quality of construction paper. So how I'm going to start my Gameboard on my big piece of paper. I'm going to fold it in half to find my center, my horizontal center. And that's going to give me a starting point. So all I did was fold it and then crease it sharply with my fingernails and open it back up, fold it the opposite direction. And now I've got my center mark. Okay. So now I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw the center line with my pencil. And you don't want to make too dark of a mark, or you don't want to emboss the paper. You just want to make a nice, gentle mark. Now I'm going to use the width of my ruler, which makes it so much easier to make all of your squares the same size rather than marking off inches and trying to connect the little lines to make them. So I'm just going to go ahead and do 4 rows, the width of my ruler.
How long do they have to be?
Well, I'm going across my paper. It all depends on the size of your paper. If you have an oversized piece of paper, and I don't know what kind of rulers you all have. My ruler is approximately 1.25 inches wide. I'm just going to go across my paper with the first marks, because the second marks, when I come across this way, will determine the size of my board. I'm going to find my center and start from the center there. But are you working on a large piece of paper, or is it a regular sized piece of paper, 8.5 by 11?
A large piece.
A large piece. Okay. Well, then you can do as I did. Just draw these first grids across the entire width of your paper and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to turn it around and do 4 going in the other direction. So I'll wait until y'all get your 4 and then to show you the next step. Take your paper and fold it in half, make a nice sharp crease. Okay. And then once you open it, that will be the center of your paper. You're going to take your ruler, mark your center line lightly with your pencil, and then start marking. I use the width of my ruler, which makes it a lot easier. to make your squares uniform in size. And I just start drawing 4 rows from the center, and then I'll turn it around and do the same thing and mark 4 rows from the center. Okay. And then I'll show you the next step. I'll give you a few minutes to get up to that point, and I'll show you how to do the next step.
How big is your construction paper?
My construction paper is 12 by 18.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to fold our papers going the other way, but we're just going to meet our corners and just fold the tiny little piece at the end right here to mark the center, because we don't want to crease our board going this way. So I'm going to do that on both sides just to find the center. This is a lot easier than trying to measure and figuring out your center. So when you have your little crease, just make a light pencil mark here and here. Okay. Get the whole piece of paper on my camera. Okay. So I've got a mark here and I've got a little mark there. And I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to connect those two, but this time I'm not going to draw my grid. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to try to keep it a little neat so I don't have too much to erase. And I'm just going to draw the line on across my other lines, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Okay. So there's my center line going in this direction. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw 4 grids in this direction. Three. Okay. 4. Then I'm going to turn it around and do the same thing going the opposite direction. So I'll end up with a nice checkerboard grid. Okay. So now we have our grid. How are y'all doing?
Who knows?
Okay.
Good?
Concentrating.
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone's concentrating.
Okay, you should have 8 squares by 8 squares. Now on this one, I'm going to go at the very edge and erase the lines that are outside of my checkerboard. Those would be the first lines that we drew across the paper. Okay. I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay. Well, looks like I've got, it's about 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to draw on the sides where I have the excess paper. I'm going to draw a line at the 5/8 inch mark to make it, it'll be like it'll create a border around my checkerboard. Okay. So it'll be like this one. You see how this one has a border around the edge?
Oh,
That's what I just did on this paper. So now you've got your checkboard in the middle, and then we've got these extra panels, which you might want to cut off. I'm probably going to cut them off. So I'm going to use that as a scratch paper, a doodle paper to check my colored pencil colors before I put them on my game board. That way you can see if that's the color, you know, if it's what you think it is before you actually commit to the game board color. And you can see by this one, you know, I just had a lot of fun with the colors, just keeping in mind that, you know, every other square will be darker to bring out the checkerboard pattern. Now, if you've got some art colored pencils, you don't have to worry too much because you can color over the colors and darken them afterwards. So you can have fun with color all over and then come back and either put, if you're doing mostly warm colors, you can come back with cool colors in your darker squares and then just add some shades of either dark brown or charcoal gray or black or whatever dark colors that you want to bring out the checkerboard pattern. So how's everybody doing?
What is he supposed to be
Good?
doing?
You got your grid done?
almost.
Okay. Now I didn't say much about supplies, but obviously you needed a pencil and colored pencils to color your board. And then at the end, you're going to need some type of an opaque marker. On mine, I used a gold Sharpie to accentuate your grid pattern on top of your color. And I've got a silver one that I'm pretty sure it would work just as well. Or, you know, any type of a opaque metallic marker, or it doesn't even have to be metallic, but you want something that's going to mark on top of your colored pencils. Now, this white one is not that great because, well, it might dry a little more opaque. I don't know. It's pretty translucent. You can see through it. So your Sharpie markers, your metallic Sharpies are probably the best ones. Now, you can always do this after you're finished coloring it. You could do it if you don't have your Sharpie today. You can always add that later. But that's what kind of makes the checkerboard come to life, is when you put the Sharpie on top of the colors. Yeah, the silver, I don't know if the silver is going to show up as much as the gold. It seems to want to pick up some of the marker color. But so anyway, how we doing? You made your grid? Do you have your grid done? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now you want to start coloring, and I just had fun with it. I came from this direction. It looks like I came with mostly cool colors, and then the warm colors came and they kind of met in between. You can follow that if you want to, or you can just have fun with it and do whatever you want, and just have fun with your colors.
With the marks a lot, huh?
Sounds like it.
I'm sorry? You wanted to, did somebody say something about markers?
You use colored pencils?
Yeah, these are colored pencils. And then after I was finished, I put it looks kind of shiny. I put Mod Podge on them after I was finished coloring. You don't have to do that, but it just makes it a little more permanent. And if you want to actually use it as a game board, it makes it, you know, waterproof and dirt proof.
How did you put the gold on?
When I was completely finished coloring, and even after I did the Mod Podge, then I went back with my ruler and drew the grid on top in the squares, you know, to redefine my grid with the gold marker. So that
Okay,
can be done when you're completely finished.
So the blending of the colors, where it looks like you blended colors, that's just done with the colored pencils?
Yes, it is. Yes, I have Prismacolors, and these are really old Prismacolors, and they're a lot smoother than the newer ones, and they blend beautifully. They're an oil base colored pencil, and you can see how soft they are. And then you can color on top, and yeah, they're great. Now there are a lot of other brands of colored pencils out there too. But you know, whatever you have should be fine. And here's a little trick too, that when you put the Mod Podge on it, it kind of, it does something to the colored pencil too. It makes them not even look like pencils anymore. It makes it look like paint. So that, and it brightens the color too. So if you do Mod Podge on top. So some people use oil. They'll take like a baby oil or even some essential oils and mix them with a carrier oil and take a Q-tip and use that to blend the colored pencils as also. That could get a little messy, I think. And depending on what kind of paper you're using. See, even a Q-tip, it takes off some of the color, but I don't know if I like that as much as just using the pencils to blend on top of them, each other. What brands of color pencils do you all have?
Crayola.
Crayola's not bad, really. They're a little less oily than the Prismacolors. So, but you
Well, I
can
didn't know anything about all that. It just said colored pencils, so I
That's
just
fine.
used what I had.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. It'll be fine. I use Crayolas a lot. It's just
So you weren't real careful about staying in the lines when you were coloring. You kind of let the colors kind of bleed together.
well, you don't want to obscure your grid. You don't want to lose your grid completely. You want to kind of keep a semblance of your squares so that you'll know where to add your darker colors. So just be a little careful, you know, not to make your grid disappear.
Okay.
So you can just, yeah, you can start coloring. And like, if you know, say, you know that one of the corners will be dark. So you could start with like a darker color to kind of start working in the grid. And that way you won't lose sight of where your dark squares are going to be. And then, you know, and then go from there. So once you have it kind of mapped out that way, then you can kind of color over that bit of dark that you just laid down. See, like that. And then, you know, this one's going to be dark. As long as you remember, it's every other square will be dark or darker. So you can start doing like this. Then you can come back with colors if you want to like add, you know, red or orange here. Add a little bit in your dark. But you see how it's it's like mapping out where the darker squares will be.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can start like that and then just build on it and just have fun with it.
Dr. Connie, look at your light and everything. I'm telling you, Margaret.
Oh, can't even tell what color this is.
I don't know. I don't see the people.
Still don't see him.
Well, I'm watching the lady.
Oh, yeah.
You can color along with me.
I'm coloring away.
Good. It might take a little while to, to complete it. So, whatever you get done in the class is fine. And you can work on it afterwards too.
I love the way your colors came out. It looks just so good. It's almost like a marbled effect.
Yeah, and I just basically just if you can see the strokes, I just kind of scribbled it on there. I didn't really use much care. Just and layered a lot.
And the Mod Podge is going to be okay on the construction paper?
Oh yeah, it's fine. Depending on your construction paper, I don't know what quality yours is. This is that. What is the name of that? I want to say True Ray, but I'm not sure if that's the brand at the Educator. It's not your normal construction paper. It's not like if you'd go to Michael's and buy construction paper. It's a little bit better. It's a less porous paper, but yeah, it was perfectly fine on this. And then this is kind of like, this is almost like cardstock. This paper that I have here, it's a little bit heavier. And I used to get these tablets at Michael's, but I'm not even sure if Strathmore still makes these tablets. They were great. They had random colors. No two tablets were the same color paper in them, and it's all assorted weights, and some were textured and some were not. And I used to get these all the time, but I haven't seen them in the stores in a long time, so I'm not even sure, like I said, if Strathmore still makes them. Here's some other boards that I made too. These are Parcheesi boards, and this one is done on acrylic paper. It's paper that's meant for painting with acrylic paints. And
That looks good.
Yeah, this is nice. It's a hefty weight, and this one also has Mod Podge over it. And I went over my colors with a black pen and defined all of the different divisions of the little squares. And then this one is the same construction paper as the checkerboard, another Parcheesi board. And I've got a backgammon board here.
Oh, that looks really good.
Yeah, this is nice. This is just done with no, the purple and the blue looks like colored pencil, or it might even be markers. And then this is Sharpie marker in here, the gold, the back of the board. And just outlined it in black. And this is done on looks like a heavyweight drawing paper. Oh no, I know what it is. It's bristle board. This is
No, I mean, she doesn't remember what to do with this one.
Oh, okay, well,
I made these a long time ago.
No, that's good.
okay.
Yes, it is.
And here is the Parcheesi board. If you want it, you can mount this on cardboard. I've got a cardboard piece, and some of the best cardboard for mounting your game boards on is the back cardboard from an art tablet. And that's what this is. This is from an acrylic tablet. And then here's a game board I made with a hinge in the middle so you can fold it up. I didn't put a backing paper on it yet, but this is a Parcheesi board all ready to be colored. But duct tape works beautifully to edge your board and to make your hinge in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know how good duct tape is. It's almost indestructible. And that makes a great hinge, and it outline your board as well.
Ooh, you're giving some good hints.
Darlene,
Yes.
just so I understand, I've marked like the first two rows of which ones would be the black squares.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just putting color now anywhere in those squares, any color I want, as long as it's not black or navy. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so
And
then how do I get the ones dark again after I'm done with that? What are you putting over the dark squares?
Well, then you come back with another either another color of dark colored pencil, just to keep, defining the fact that that's a dark square. You can kind of outline it with a black or a charcoal, or let's see, what is this? This is black. And it doesn't even have to, you can see, like, you see my dark squares, you can see color within that. So you can color over it with a dark green or a black or a charcoal gray or a brown, whatever, as long as it differentiates it from the other squares next to it. Yeah, it doesn't matter what color.
And did you add any water to this at all?
No.
No, okay.
You kind of want to stay away from water because you don't know how your paper is going to behave. It may make your paper buckle. So you really don't want to, introduce water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have hand cramps from coloring? Is it just me? Oh my God.
No, it can happen, especially if your colored pencil is this size.
And I like normal size, but man,
Try to relax your hand a little bit as you color. You might be tensing up.
The Mod Podge smooths this out?
Yes.
Okay.
And you know, you don't have to get the brand, the Mod Podge brand. You can get the Michaels brand. It works really well too.
So is it gonna blend the colors?
It kind of does. I mean, it just makes them brighter, and it brings them all together.
Cool.
Come together.
Love that song.
All right.
Cool. I'm using pastel oils as well as color pencils. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You can also color your border too, that goes around your board.
I keep touching my wrist. Something keeps touching on my hand. I don't know what makes it go on.
So after we finish, I didn't mean to come up, pop up, but after we finish painting, coloring,
Mm-hmm.
just put a layer of Mod Podge on top?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both sides or just the top?
You can just put it on the top, because if you're going to glue it to the cardboard, well, you can actually glue it to the cardboard with the Mod Podge, but you want to have a good coating on top before you glue it down, just in case you would get glue on the top. It wouldn't,
okay.
yeah, it wouldn't remove your color that way.
And you said you mark your lines with the gold marker after you put the Mod Podge on, right?
Yes, yes, and make sure that your Mod Podge is completely dry, because you wouldn't want to ruin your marker, your Sharpie marker.
So we go back over the lines in between the squares in the gold paint?
Yes, when you're completely finished, after you've got your Mod Podge on and it's dry, then you come back with your gold marker and go over your grid, and it just makes it come to life.
Okay, okay. And what did you color around the border of your
I just used the colored pencils and just went all the way around with the same colors that I was doing in the center, in the middle. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there's nothing else that we would need to do with this, and just color the squares, darken the ones that are the dark squares, and Mod Podge, and then paint the gold lines. Where did you get the designs for the other game board?
I drew them.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Now, but I mean, it's you know, it's a Parcheesi board. I mean, you know, this is pretty the way it's laid out is yeah, you know, I just drew it. And then of course the backgammon, you know, that's recognizable too. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I wanted to start doing them, I have a wonderful book on making vintage board games, which is a lot of fun. I made a huge one. I can't believe I don't know where it is. I'm in the process of moving everything around in my house. So half of the stuff is who knows where, but I have this vintage replica of a vintage board game that I made called The Game of the Goose. And that one's pretty neat. I don't know where it is offhand.
I noticed you have the yellow background, and the other one I think had the orange. Do you think it's better to do it on the colored background versus the white one?
Doesn't matter really, because I cover up the color anyway. It was just a random choice.
Okay.
You could do it on white, on color. It doesn't matter. The color might, you know, affect the although I don't know if it does, you know, it might change the color a little bit. It might be brighter colors if you do it on a white background, but I wasn't too worried about it. So I just did whatever I had. I'm halfway done. I needed a break myself.
Uh-huh. I don't know how you, no, that was crazy.
I'm sorry.
It's like watching a coloring marathon. Like,
Oh, yeah.
answered for you.
Do you go over it with the gold when you've Mod Podged it?
Yeah, after you put your Mod Podge on, the gold is the last thing you do.
Okay.